911, what's your emergency?
I actually left the location with my son because not comfortable with it anymore.
Yes?
He is a professional fighter. I just want to let you guys know he's a professional fighter because I don't want no cop to get injured.
No, we don't want anyone to get hurt. What's your husband's name?
Tony Ferguson?
Tony Ferguson, better known as El Cucuy, was a living legend. His fighting style was a spectacle of blood and pain, an all-out war in the octagon.
It's a giant cut.
But to become such a formidable force, he had to sacrifice a part of his humanity, a part that his loved ones felt the absence of the most. If you want to know more about Tony Ferguson, his mental struggles, ups and downs, and much more, just take a comfortable seat, grab your popcorn, and watch this video, because we're about to discuss that very set of questions.
MMA Fighter Spot? Man, that channel is fucking great.
Before he became the Tony Ferguson we know today, he was a multi-sport athlete, showcasing his natural-born athletic talent in football, baseball, and wrestling at Muskegon Catholic Central High School. His talent was evident early on. He was the starting defensive back for the Division VIII State Football Championships. It was in wrestling where he truly shone, becoming a three-time All-State selection and winning the 152-pound division in 2002.
I was a two-time All-American, so I took to this sport very, very well because I love competition.
In 2008, Ferguson made his professional MMA debut, and his career took off like a rocket. His unique blend of wrestling and striking, coupled with his relentless pace and unyielding pressure, made him a force to be reckoned with. His rise in the MMA world was meteoric.
I worked from Pure Combat belt, and I told them, I was like, I tried out 3 times for this. You guys need to take me.
And in 2011, he won the 13th season of The Ultimate Fighter, marking his entry into the UFC. In the UFC, Ferguson's eccentricity and unorthodox fighting style quickly made him a fan favorite. His tenacity, combined with his ability to pull off improbable victories, earned him the nickname El Cucuy, the boogeyman who strikes fear into the hearts of his opponents.
He never gets tired.
No.
He never gets tired. Everybody who fights him looks like they fell off a train.
His 12-fight win streak in the UFC's lightweight division was a sight to behold. His unorthodox fighting style, characterized by wild scrambles, unpredictable striking, and a relentless pace, left his opponents bewildered and fans on the edge of their seats.
Round 3.
Oh, nice. Oh, beautiful. Wow.
He didn't just win fights, he dominated them, imposing his will on his opponents and breaking them down physically and mentally.
Mental warfare. I already point and proved you got attitude problems. You're just like that dude that could never really cut it on the team. That's why you move forward, man.
Each victory in his win streak was a masterclass in MMA. He showcased his striking prowess, his wrestling skills, and his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt credentials. He wasn't just winning fights, he was dismantling top-tier opponents. His victory over Edson Barboza at the TUF 22 finale was a testament to his undying pressure and ability to adapt. Barboza, who is as dangerous as it gets, was overwhelmed by Ferguson's pace and pressure, succumbing to a choke in the second round. Ferguson's victory over Kevin Lee at UFC 216 for the interim lightweight championship showcased his ability to overcome adversity. Despite being taken down multiple times by Lee, Ferguson managed to turn the tide of the fight with his elbows and guard play from the bottom, eventually submitting Lee with a triangle choke in the third round. Perhaps his greatest victory came against Rafael Dos Anjos at UFC Fight Night 98. Despite Dos Anjos being one of the toughest lightweights in the division at the time, Ferguson managed to overwhelm him with his volume and tenacity, earning a unanimous decision victory in a fight of the night performance. However, the boogeyman's reign of terror wasn't without its share of missed opportunities. Multiple scheduled fights against Khabib Nurmagomedov, a lightweight GOAT, fell through due to various reasons. 5 times. The MMA gods didn't want this one to happen, did they?
You have a furry hand that's collecting cobwebs. I can't wait to shut your face with my hand. I'm gonna knock you out. Just for you, I'm gonna knock you out.
These missed fights are considered one of the biggest what-ifs in UFC history, as fans were left wondering who would have come out on top in a clash between these two titans of the sport. What do you think? Who would win if they met in their prime? Khabib or Tony Ferguson? Write it down in the comments. Tony faced a different kind of battle outside the octagon, a battle that was not just against another fighter, but against his own mind. In 2019, Tony's wife, Christina, began to notice a change in her husband's behavior. He was becoming increasingly delusional and manic, leading her to believe that he was suffering from a mental illness. On February 5th, Christina noted that Tony had not slept the entire night, consumed by the belief that a great flood was imminent. His erratic behavior was escalating, and Christina was growing increasingly concerned for their safety. In a desperate attempt to protect their son, Christina filed for a temporary domestic violence restraining order after Tony allegedly took their son forcefully. She was worried about their son's safety and Tony's unpredictable behavior. But what caused Tony to go haywire? Was there a reason that led to this shift in his behavior? Honestly, nobody can tell for sure. Being a fighter, a professional one at that, is much more stressful than people realize. Tony would spend countless hours in the gym, pushing his body to its limits, constantly striving for perfection, constantly being the first in and the last out of the gym. He would grind himself down in the gym, pushing his body to its limits, all in the pursuit of demolishing his opponents in the octagon. But this intense regimen, coupled with the high-stress environment of professional fighting, may have been a heavy burden for someone who might have already had a predisposition towards mental health struggles. Tony was always a bit out there, a trait that made him a unique and unpredictable fighter. His unorthodox training methods and eccentric personality were part of his charm.
This fucking song called Mask Off. Chase a check, never chase a bitch. That's Khabib.
But they were also signs of a man marching to the beat of his own drum, a man who was perhaps grappling with issues beneath the surface. The pressure to perform, the constant physical strain, and the mental toll of being in the public eye could have exacerbated these underlying issues. Despite the serious concerns, Tony wasn't arrested or charged with any crime. His wife described his behavior as threatening and violent, but she also made it clear Tony was a good husband and a loving father. She later dropped the charges. Kudos to her. Sadly, Tony's mental health issues weren't just his own private battle, they became public knowledge. He was constantly asked about it in the media, questions he usually avoided.
Mental health issues and working through that. It takes a lot of courage as a professional athlete, especially a lot of people look up to you.
Fuck you.
Despite these challenges, Tony didn't give up. He kept training and fighting, showing everyone his strength and unwavering commitment to the sport he loves. Tony's journey is a stark reminder that even the toughest fighters are human, with their own battles to fight outside the octagon. Despite his personal struggles, Ferguson continued to compete in the UFC. However, his career took a turn for the worse when he faced Justin Gaethje in UFC 249. Justin dominated the fight. Gaethje's punches echoed against Ferguson's head. It was a brutal beating, and it was simply too much for Tony. After more than 20 minutes of punishment, Tony shook his head like a wounded animal, showing he couldn't take it anymore. This was just the beginning of the end for El Cucuy. He suffered losses to Charles Oliveira, Beneil Dariush, Michael Chandler, and Nate Diaz, for what is now a 5-fight losing streak. Some of these losses were absolutely devastating to watch. Tony, unfortunately, lost to the only opponent no martial artist can ever defeat, time. But if there's one thing we know about Tony Ferguson, is that he's a fighter through and through.
Use any excuses. If I need to do something, I'll do it myself.
Despite his recent losses, he's scheduled to return to the octagon and face Bobby Green at UFC 291, July 29th. Let's hope we see him turn the tide and end his career on a positive note. If you enjoyed this journey through Tony Ferguson's career, don't forget to hit that like button. It helps us out a lot and lets us know you enjoy the content like this. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. We've got a lot more exciting content coming your way.